मेऽनुरुक्तस्य प्रसृतस्य हतैन सह प्रश्रितस्य हतैन सह श्रद्दधानस्य बालस्य श्रद्दधानस्य बालस्य दान्त अस्य अनुचरस्य च दान्तास्य अनुचरस्य च तस्वैवं मे अनुरुक्तस्य श्रितस्य हतैनशः श्रद्दधानस्य बालस्य. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, in this verse, Narada Muni is continuing to describe about his previous life to Veda Vyasa in the last couple of verses, which we have been discussing, reading. So, he is describing how he was in his previous life. So, even though he was a son of a maid servant, so some Bhakti Vedantas, some saintly persons, the pure devotees of the Lord, they happened to visit the place where his mother was working as a maid servant. And there Narada Muni got an opportunity to serve them and get enlightened by them. So then before Narada Muni got enlightenment, he is describing how his attitude was, how his behavior was towards those saintly persons or towards the material world, both. So in the couple of verses, we have discussed about different qualities. So in this verse, Narada Muni is explaining some furthermore qualities. Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So Narada Muni is explaining that Tasyaivam me anuruktasya, very important principle, anuruktasya. Anuruktasya means attachment. So we should develop attachment either to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to his pure devotees. So here Narada Muni was very perfect in his activity, that he was attached to the Bhakti Vedantas or pure devotees of the Lord. Then Pratitasya Hataina Saha. He was Pratitasya, Prashritasya, obedient. Atha, freed from Enashaha, sins. He was freed from all kinds of sins or sinful thoughts in his mind, and he was very obedient. Then Shraddhadhanasya, he was very faithful. And then even though he was a boy, Balasya, even though he was a boy, but he was very faithful. Then Dantasya, subjugated. Samodhama, dhama means controlling, subjugation. Then Anucharasya, strictly following the instructions. So he was very much attached to the sages. He was gentle in behavior, and all his sins were eradicated in their service. He was, in his heart, he had a strong faith towards those devotees, and then he had subjugated his senses, and he was strictly following them with the mind and body. So these are some more qualities described about Narada Muni. So then Prabhupada in the purport mentions, these are the necessary qualifications of a prospective candidate who can expect it to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. यदि हम भगवान का शुद्ध भक्त बनना चाहते हैं तो हमें क्या फॉलो करना है, क्या पालन करना है. प्रभुपाद इज मेंशनिंग हियर कि ये सब क्वालिटीज है, ये जब लक्षण हैं, जो ऊपर बताए गए लक्षण हैं, ये बहुत ही जरूरी है यदि हम कोई pure, unadulterated devotee. Prabhupada is mentioning two words, pure and as well as unadulterated devotee. So then we have to practice these principles. So recently, in the December last month, CA exam results were announced. So among the top four, three are from Jaipur. So the topper in the CA exam. So he was interviewed. He is again from he's a Jaipurite. So generally it happens, right? Any competitive exams. So when the results are announced, so whoever has got the first rank or a good rank, so people go interview them, especially media, so that others can take inspiration from them. Others can take some inputs from them on how they can actually lead such a successful life. तो जब यहाँ पे इनका पास जाके इनको इंटरव्यू किया गया तो फर्स्ट रैंक होल्डर है सीए के एग्ज़ाम का. सो देन उनसे पूछा गया कि आपको आपका परिश्रम, आपका जो प्रिपरेशन कैसे रहा और आपके लिए बहुत पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स क्या रहा, व्हाट वर द मोटिवेशनल और पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स, हेल्पफुल पॉइंट्स फॉर यू इन योर क्रैकिंग द एग्जाम. So he mentioned that actually I belongs to a family of CAs. My brother is a CA, my uncle is a CA, many of my cousins are CAs. My father was a CA, but he is no more now. So like this, from childhood I have been brought up in the midst of those CAs. So I have almost every now and then, whenever our family gathering happens, we used to discuss about those topics only. Say suppose my uncle is working for a good firm, so he will explain what are the good practices they have or what are the things which needs to be improved. So in that way I have been hearing so many principles, many points, many important CA examination points were very clear to me. And also when I was in that atmosphere, so generally I also got inclination, I should also become CA. So that was the most important point for me. So then I started preparation and all my cousins helped me. So here, of course, there may be, generally it happens in if a doctor, generally he marries another doctor, or in the family, most likely it is that, the children or some of the family members tend to study MBBS. Of course, sometimes it becomes otherwise also. Seeing their schedule, seeing their life, they become, no, I don't want to become doctor also. But what actually happens in that ecosystem, in that family atmosphere? So they are actually discussing about their profession. So similarly, what is required for a devotees to be peaceful in devotional service or to advance in devotional service? Association of devotees. And why Shastras so much stress about association, sadhu sangha? Why they mention? Why? Because just like how he is recalling that, whenever our family gatherings used to happen, we used to discuss about financial things only, because everyone, most of them are from the financial background, working for some good firms, for financial firm. So whenever sadhus meet, what they are supposed to talk? They are supposed to talk about Lord Krishna, supposed to talk about devotional service. So that's then what happens? That is the reason Shastras tell sadhu sangha is very important. So when we discuss, whenever we meet about Krishna, our faith, our attachment towards Krishna increases. So like here it is mentioned that sasevam me anuruktasya. Anuruktasya means attachment. Only by discussing. Suppose a person he may not be interested. नहीं, मैं नहीं पीऊंगा. एक दिन रेजिस्ट कर सकते हैं, 2 दिन मना कर सकते हैं, 3 दिन मना कर सकते हैं, बट यदि उन्हीं का बीच में रहेंगे, ठीक है एक बार चेक कर लेता हूँ, एक बार थोड़ा सा चेक के देख लेंगे क्या हो जाए, एक बार में क्या हो जाएगा. बट इफ यू आर इन द मिडस्ट ऑफ दोस काइंड ऑफ पीपल, you are most likely to get influenced by that group. Similarly, if you are in the midst of devotees, like Narada Muni here, he was how many year old boy when is he describing? He's just a very, very young boy. Mother is a maid servant. He is not from any philosophical background. I was born in a Brahmana family where from the beginning he has been hearing about discussion of Vedic literatures, discussion about Supreme Lord. No. He is the son of a maid servant, struggling to maintain their life, very, very young boy. But the moment he came in the midst of those Bhakti Vedantas, because they stayed there for 4 months during Chaturmasya. They had stayed back in that place to practice, to follow Chaturmasya. So then because of their association, because of the aura of those great devotees, Bhakti Vedantas, Narada Muni also became influenced. And when he became influenced, some background qualities, what is required for a spiritualist, he had all those qualities as mentioned here. In the previous lecture also we had discussed about him. He was Alpa Bhashini. He was not talking, he was talking only whatever is required. So that time we had discussed about the fish which never opens mouth, get never caught. Similarly, a devotee, one who is controlled in his senses, never falls down. So what happens, fish generally when you put some food, तो खाने के लिए वो लालच की वजह से मछली आते हैं, वो आके मछुआरे का वो जो सुई है उसमें फंस जाते हैं. That's how fishermen they sit and take out, they catch fish. Similarly, a devotee, if he is controlled in his senses, he will not become prey. Similarly, if fish doesn't open its mouth, then it will not get caught. So, Alpa Bhashini, one of the quality of Narada Muni. So, these were all qualities. These are all supporting qualities. But first thing is what? Association of devotees. The moment he came in the association of the Bhakti Vedantas, immediately his consciousness got awakened. What I am supposed to do? So, when his mother died, he started asking, who will take care of me? They said, no, Lord will take care of you. Where can I find the Lord? Go to the forest. He went and he started meditating on the Supreme Lord. The Lord appeared in front of him. The Lord gave him a glimpse of darshan. Then Lord said, you undergo tapasya. Then Lord disappeared. Narada Muni, throughout his life, he was hankering. He was again requesting so much to the Lord that, you gave me darshan, but after that you have never appeared before me. So why did the Lord appear? Because he was a candidate who was able candidate to receive that spiritual knowledge. But he had not sufficiently undergone sadhana. So then Lord said, appeared and disappeared. So that Narada Muni throughout his life can work for that, to gain that what? The Lord, darshan of the Lord once again. So then Narada Muni was trying and performing. So ecosystem is very, very important. Especially that is the reason, sadhu sangha, sarva shastra khai, lavamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Lavamatra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. What happens? Like here, Narada Muni, best practical example is Narada Muni. Prahlad Maharaj, how much duration he had opportunity to have association of Narada Muni? When he was in his mother's womb. That was the association. After he was born, immediately, Hiranyakashipu came back, he took him to the palace, then he was put under the sons of Shukracharya for his studies, for his education. So only that, for Narada Muni is 5-year-old, but Prahlad Maharaj was just a womb in the mother's, just a baby in the mother's womb. So then, because of Narada Muni's association, he became so enlightened. Dhruva Maharaj, his association is also not so long. He just met Narada Muni. Narada Muni initially he tried to stop him, tried to discourage him that you go back. With what passion you have come, it is actually befitting to a Kshatriya, I know, but you cannot attain the Supreme Lord like this. You are so too young. Dhruva Maharaj said, no, if you know where the Lord is, you please tell me. Otherwise, don't disturb me. So seeing his determination, Narada Muni tells, okay, gives him mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You go and chant and undergo meditation. That is the important, that is the strong, that is the strong power of association. So why are acharyas? Why they instituted an institution, an organization to preach, So yes, of course, it is to preach and make others devotee, but the important principle is to provide a platform for the people to come and associate with devotees. To hear about, to give a platform, to give an opportunity for them to hear about Krishna Katha. So that is very, very important, to provide people an opportunity, just like how, why say Rotary Club or Lions Club, why do they make club actually? They are there throughout the world, one of the biggest organizations in the world. So they have created a platform wherein like-minded people can come together and they can work on some projects, some charitable projects. So now, suppose someone who is attached, one who is already working for Rotary Club, if you go and ask him for any contribution, what generally they say? No, already we are attached to Rotary Club. Through that, we are doing a lot of charitable activities. If you go and ask them donation, because they have almost confined themselves to the charity work which they do through that, if they are very, very active in that way. Generally, it happens like that. Similarly, same kind of question was put up in front of Srila Prabhupada, that you have made an institution. By registering an institution or by creating an institution, you are limiting the people to a particular sect. Because generally what happens in an institution, lot of management is involved. People starts identifying them with that institution. Just like Rotary person will tell, no, I am already associated with Rotary, through that we are already doing charity. So what is the limitation with respect to the organization? People starts identifying themselves with that organization. So then they become attached to that organization, which is not good for a spiritual life. So this was the conversation in Chennai with Rajaji, Sri Rajagopalachari. He was one of the Governor General of India after the independence. He had received Bharata Ratna as well. So he was an elderly man to Srila Prabhupada compared to the age. So Prabhupada happens to meet him in Chennai. So that there the conversation happens between them. So then he's asking, in fact, actually he was a very philosophically inclined person, devotee. So then he is asking this question to Srila Prabhupada. So he's asking, but the question which I put to Giriraja was whether it would not have been better if you work from inside rather than make yourself a separate cult and organization. Separate organization, once you form it, becomes like a person who is born. He gets his attachment, his ego, his everything. So the separate organization, like Mr. Banu, becomes an ego. He is fond of his own attachments, his own interest, and so the organization must be looked after. The organization should succeed. The organization should succeed better than other organizations. That's why these are all the competitions, these are all attachments, these are all ego issues which comes in an organization. That's why he's suggesting to Prabhupada, it would have been nice if you had preached independently without organizing, without creating any organization like this. You could have preached, whoever come, you preach, and then they will follow. Why did you establish an organization, worldwide organization like this? Then, if you are convinced that your mission was to spread Gita Acharya's teachings, Gita Acharya means Bhagavad Gita teachings, as to how to act with detachment and with faith in the grace of God, where you can go wrong, could not have been better without making yourself separate. Then Prabhupada is answering, no, the thing is, when there is detachment, there must be another attachment. So Rajagopalacharya is suggesting you should have actually preached Bhagavad Gita and tell people to become detached. Instead, what you have done, you have created an organization and you are asking people to come and attached. This is wrong because ultimately all these attachments are material. So even to an organization, people confine themselves to one organization. So this is not ideal thing. So Prabhupada answer. So when there is a detachment, there must be another attachment. Rajaji, yes, to God. It should be attachment towards should be God. Prabhupada, yes, that is required. So that just like Rajaji is further questioning, there is attachment means yes, of course, it has to be there. There cannot be anything. We cannot say you cannot have an attachment. Prabhupada, if you wish to live without detachment, attach yourself to God. Prabhupada, yes. Then Prabhupada says, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Prabhupada is quoting from Bhagavad Gita. If you really want to give up attachment to lower things, what you are supposed to do? Develop higher taste. Rasavarjam rasopasya param drishtva nivartate. Prabhupada, after getting good attachment, one gives up inferior attachment. Rajaji, right, that will be better. The attachment should be God, Prabhupada, Krishna. So Rajaji said, Krishna, Govinda, as I will call him, because he's South Indian, so they are more attached to Govinda. So he's telling Govinda, as I call him. So people should get attached to them. But why to organization? You could have preached like that. Prabhupada is saying, no, Govinda is absolute. Govinda and Govinda's organization, the same. Govinda is absolute. Similarly, his organization is also absolute. Example, like any Rotary or Lions Club, you may not get a spiritual enlightenment from by attaching to that or by doing charitable work. But if by doing to our organization, because here, whenever we meet, we discuss about Krishna. We discuss about how to develop attachment towards Krishna. In that way, this organization is also Krishna. It's also spiritual. It's also absolute. Even someone develops attachment, that is what is supposed to happen. We have to develop attachment to organization. So what happens when someone becomes attached to an organization? Automatically, when he comes and associates with devotees, he will get to hear only about Krishna. He will not get to hear anything about politics. He will not get to hear anything about what is going on in the world. Whoever comes, we will tell them, you chant Hare Krishna mantra, read Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagwatam, follow festivals, practice Ekadashi. Only these kind of things are only taught in the organization, in our organization. So in that way, Hare Krishna movement or ISKCON is non-different from Krishna. If someone develops attachment, actually it is developing attachment to Krishna. That is what is supposed to happen in the midst of devotees. Then Prabhupada further saying, the point is, just like Krishna, his name, his form, his pastimes, his entourage, they are all the same. Otherwise, what is the benefit of chanting Krishna's name? Suppose I am thirsty just now. If I simply chant the name of water, I will not be satisfied. Water is required, actual substance. But when we chant Krishna, if Krishna name is different from Krishna, then you will not get any result. So Krishna and Krishna's name are identical. Similarly, Krishna's organization, Krishna's paraphernalia, Krishna's holy name, everything is identical. So here Narada Muni is saying that I was attached to the Bhakti Vedantas. So here by developing attachment for organization means developing attachment for Prabhupada, attachment for Krishna, and attachment for Sadhu Sangha, devotees association. So by hankering, by working, by sincerely associating with devotees, definitely we will be advancing in Krishna consciousness. So these are the important points which Narada Muni is here mentioning. Further in the Prabhupada mentions, such a candidate, which candidate? A person, one who really wants to become a pure unadulterated devotee. So such person must seek always association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo devotee. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instruction of such a pure devotee. Yes, we should seek pure devotees association, but while seeking pure devotees association, we also should be a capable man to receive the instructions. Just like rains, when it rains equally on rocky surface, it equally on the fertile land, equally on the ocean. Everywhere it rains, but only the fertile land will be able to produce some crop. So rocky surface will not be able to produce anything because it's not ready. It's not fertile enough to produce the crop. Similarly, what is the qualification of a devotee to receive the mercy or instructions from the pure devotee is that he has to be plain and gentle. Gentle, that means atainasya. Here it is mentioned that in a gentle behavior. Prashritasya, obedient. So obedience, gentle, and with those qualities only we will be able to receive the mercy or instructions of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is completely surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. Ever since we are there in this material world, that too from time immemorial, we have been doing some papa, some punya, some pious activity, some sinful activity. So both have been Both are getting credited into our accounts. So how we can actually get rid of those sinful activities or sinful reactions? Only by associating with the devotees, that way pure devotee. By the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by the mundane association. So it not only helps us to progress in devotional life, it also helps us to get rid of all previous sinful reactions. Do we have Bhagavad Gita here? Yeah. So Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about this principle. How actually wonderfully Krishna explains this is in the 9th chapter. Krishna explains. Duracharo bhajate mam ananyabhat sadhuresava mantavya vyavasito hi saha. It's a very important verse. Quite often we have heard about this, that what should be our approach towards other devotees. Those who they may not be practicing strongly, they may not be good even in their sadhana or philosophical aspects. They may be struggling with respect to their spiritual life. What should be our attitude? How should we treat them actually? That Krishna is telling here. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, he has to be considered saintly, but there is a condition. Even if someone commits most abominable actions, he is to be considered saintly. Condition is that if he is engaged in devotional service. In that way, even an outside person, one who is performing grave sins, then he should be considered saintly? No. Why? Because he is not practicing devotional service. But while practicing devotional service, a person may be committing most abominable actions, but still has to be considered saintly. What is the reason Krishna is telling is because he is properly situated. Doesn't it look contradictory? One place Krishna is saying, even if one commits most abominable actions, but Lord Krishna is saying, because he is properly situated. How can a person who is properly situated commit most abominable actions? But okay, because of his past, he's committing sinful activities. But how can you say that he is properly situated? He is not properly situated. Constitutional position of serving the Lord. Yes, okay. Any other thing? If you tell this statement to an outsider person, he will tell what Krishna is telling, it's contradictory. A person who is properly situated, he is supposed to execute his duties properly. He cannot commit sinful activities. Answer to this lies in the next verse very next verse. Krishna tells that why he is properly situated. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma Shashvat Chantim Nigachati, Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Krishna is saying, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Krishna is giving an assurance that even though person may be committing most abominable actions, but if he is practicing Krishna consciousness, if he is practicing devotional service, he is rightly situated because Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Today he may be performing sinful activities because of because of the previous life conditioning or whatever. But because he is practicing devotional service, he will quickly becomes righteous. Kshipram. Kshipram means very quickly, very soon. Word to word meaning proper means very soon. Sometimes we say, I am coming soon. That means there is no certainty. I am coming very soon. Then we can expect, oh yes, he is coming. Maybe in a short while he is coming. So Kshipram means very soon. Because he is practicing, he is following devotional service, even though he may be, because of his past conditioning, all abominable actions he may be doing, but he will become righteous. That Krishna is telling, go and declare this boldly, but my devotee never perishes. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So that's what here Prabhupada is mentioning, that why Krishna is telling that he has to be considered saintly, because the process is so strong. The sadhu sangha is so strong. Even how much ever sinful activities you may would have accumulated from the last innumerable lives, that's good. One day is good enough. Lavamatra sadhu sangha. A fraction second of sadhu sangha is good enough to eradicate all those sinful reactions. Immediately he will become Dharmatma. Chipram Bhavati Dharmatma. It will not take much time. Once Prabhupada was asked, how much time it will take us to go back to Godhead. What Prabhupada says? One moment. Are you not reading Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada quotes this verse. Are you not reading Bhagavad Gita? Krishna is saying, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja ham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Do not worry. So Krishna is giving assurance. One moment is good enough. So one moment of that sincere devotional service is good enough for us to go back to Godhead, get free from all the sinful reactions. It will not take much more time. So that's what Prabhupada here is mentioning, that by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. Obedience is the first principle. Same principle in the previous class. Very famous statement from famous quote of Srila Prabhupada we have read in the 24th verse, that without being self-controlled, without being self-disciplinary, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. So three important things: without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, without being obedient, we will not be able to successfully follow the instructions of spiritual master. And without following the instructions of spiritual master, we will not be able to go back to Godhead. So again, same principle Prabhupada here again mentioning, that a devotee should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. Even in the existing duration of life, he can achieve success. It is not that, only, okay, after this life we will get, and I don't know when I will get. Even in his very life, like Dhruva Maharaj, with his own body, he went back to Godhead. That was the power of devotional service. Even Ajamila. So within his own life, he was able to receive devotional service because of chanting the holy name of the Lord. There's one statement that, the one holy name of the Supreme Lord is so potent enough that it can eradicate all the sinful reactions, which you cannot even think you cannot think of quantity of how much I can perform that sinful activity. That means for so many innumerable lifetimes, whatever you have performed, one name of Krishna is good enough. There's one beautiful song, that how far is Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha is just that much far of time period calling of Govinda. You just take out the name of Govinda, that is the time period, that is the duration which is required to go back to Godhead or Vaikuntha. So, but for that, here it is mentioned, qualities of disciples are also mentioned. One is he should be very gentle, and he should be plain, he should be obedient, and he strictly follow the instructions. That is the key. Strictly if you follow the instructions, then definitely you will receive the mercy of the spiritual master or pure devotee. And upon receiving mercy, going back to Godhead will become very easy. It's not at all difficult. So once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he had gone to Vrindavan, he had taken Balabhadra Bhattacharya with him. So I'm cut shorting the pastime. So Balabhadra Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only two visited Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Imlital, so many devotees would come to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have his darshan. So it was creating a disturbance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides that, let me go a little far off place. So he goes to some other village on the banks of Yamuna. There they were staying. So one night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hears some sound, people gathering around. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Balabhadra Bhattacharya, तो एक बार जाके देख लीजिए कि क्या शोर मचा रखा है बाहर, क्या शोर शराबा है. So Balabhadra Bhattacharya comes back and tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually every night in Yamuna, Krishna is coming and is dancing on Kaliya. Every day is coming and performing this pastime. That's why people are coming to see Krishna, to have darshan of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, did not speak, did not comment on that. He smiled and he kept quiet. Then every night, that commotion used to happen. People would come, they are having darshan of Krishna dancing on Kaliya. Then one fine day, in the evening, Balabhadra Bhattacharya requests Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I also want to go and have darshan of Krishna dancing on Kaliya. I also want, I have desire. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, oh, good, very good, please come. So he calls him very nearby and give him a tight slap. Gives him a tight slap. Then Balabhadra Bhattacharya could not sleep for the whole night. One was the pain. Second was, why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu slap me? What wrong did I do? मैंने थोड़ी गलती किया कोई, मैंने तो भगवान का दर्शन करने के लिए परमिशन मांगा, उसके लिए इतना थोड़ी मारते हैं. बट एनीवे चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने मारा तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने ये, बट फिर भी रीजन क्या था? होल नाइट ही वाज कंटेम्पलेटिंग. नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग सम रेस्पेक्टेबल पर्सन्स फ्रॉम दैट विलेज वेयर चैतन्य महाप्रभु वाज रिसाइडिंग, दे कम टू मीट चैतन्य महाप्रभु. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them that, I heard that, in your village, every night Krishna is appearing, dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. So have you also gone to have this darshan? So they were very respectable men, and they were good devotees. They tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please don't joke with us. We know you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If at all we want to have darshan of Krishna, there are some innocent, very neophyte devotees. They don't know that it is not Krishna. Every night a fisherman goes to catch the fishes on the Yamuna river with his net. So he has to throw his net. So when he has to do all these actions, so it looks like he's dancing from far, and that too there were no lights as such. So it looks like some black personality and dancing, and he carries a lantern because it is dark. So because भगवान जब नाचते हैं तो उस मणि का चमक बढ़ जाते हैं. This is what they are thinking. They are very ignorant. They are very ignorant people. Whereas you are Supreme Personality of God. Even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, no, I am not Krishna. Don't call me Krishna. He would close his ears. So, but they were. So then Balabhadra Bhattacharya understood what was that. Why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu slapped him when he asked, I want to go and have darshan of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to, in the purport Prabhupada writes, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to establish what is right principle. If he had allowed Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he would have, because of his ignorance, because of not properly enlightened, he is actually residing with Krishna himself. He is not able to realize that. If at all he has to have darshan of Krishna, one more obeisance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and serve him nicely. Then automatically that whatever knowledge he wanted, that will be revealed to him. But instead, so only the neophyte devotees, or those who are very innocent, or those who are ignorant, they will think of all these external means. But whereas Krishna is personally present in the form of his name, in the form of deity, have darshan, serve nicely, then automatically the spiritual knowledge will be revealed with the blessings of a pure devotee. That's what Prabhupada here is mentioning, that a devotee should be very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. We need not have to go here and there. Just follow the instructions of Prabhupada. All success is guaranteed. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. So, from Srimad Bhagwatam, especially from the Narada Muni's life, we can understand what is the ideal behavior of a devotee and how we should develop them. So ideal behavior, as mentioned here, Alpabhashinaha, and he is very obedient, he is very Shraddha Dhanasya, Pratisasya, Athainasaha, Dhanta, Anucharasya, and then Anuruktasya, attached to the pure devotees. These are all the qualities we have to, every day we have to try to develop or increase these qualities in our life. By doing that, we can actually, we can become successful in achieving, we can become successful in devotional service in the existing duration of life, in this very own life. In this very own life, we can actually become good devotees, become pure devotees of the Lord. So these are the important instructions Narada Muni is instructing to Vedavyasa when Vedavyasa asked him to narrate about his previous life. With this, I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagwatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.